Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno, and joining me is Sen Duong. So Sen, hey, welcome back.
Thanks.
All right, so you were missing last podcast, but we have you back, and that is good. So we can talk more box office. So last week, while you were not here, we have a couple of smaller releases for that weekend. I made some predictions, but then I didn't know how small they were. I thought they could probably generously gross decent, maybe even some nearing the 10 million range. But I was wrong. I just didn't know how small these movies were.
Yeah,
given
because
the
nobody
names
cared.
Right. How about we jump right in with the top 10? So let's start off with the top movie of the weekend. It's The Fate of the Furious, the 8th movie of the Fast and Furious franchise. It pulled in 38.7 million over the weekend, experienced about a roughly 61% drop off from its opening weekend, and that is kind of to be expected from the series, right? Even with past movies, they experience a huge drop off, like the 60% range, since it opened so huge. And with a movie like this, the fans rush out to see it, right? And over 2 weekends, it grossed 163 million, and the worldwide take is nearing $1 billion, 908 million. That's worldwide.
Right. Well, still pretty impressive, although it's going to be a pretty big drop off from the previous film, Furious 7.
Right, but then I said that Furious 7 had Paul Walker's death, giving it a boost, unfortunately. But that's what happened, and the opening for Furious 8, Fate of the Furious, is around where the 6th movie opened to.
Yep. You can never underestimate how much a celebrity's death in a franchise can, affect the opening. And when you compare Furious 8 to Furious 7, there's a $50 million difference. Nearly, that's like 30% difference. We saw it in The Dark Knight too.
Right. And you said that during the podcast that Heath Ledger's death affected The Dark Knight, and then like the next movie, they experienced like a drop off from there.
Yeah. I guess if you take Furious 7's numbers out, this is actually not bad, kind of consistent with, although it hasn't moved up as much as, I think from 5 to 6, it went from like 75 million to almost 100 million. And Furious 8 is kind of still at 100 million.
Right. We said right before that at some point the movie's going to plateau, it's going to peak.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're kind of at that point where from one movie to the next. Well, Furious 7 is the outlier, right? With Paul Walker's death, and that we're seeing that it's at that point where it's just the opening weekend is kind of the same-ish. From one movie to the next, and we don't know what the next movie, Fast 9, will bring, right? We might even see a dip, right? But at that point, it's not increasing as fast as before, right? From Fast 5, there's a huge jump. From Fast 6, there's a huge jump. Then Fast 7, there's a gigantic leap, right? And now we're seeing this plateau.
Yep. I guess that's why they're thinking about spin-offs now. That there's the main franchise. There's only so much you can do.
Right. Well, like I said, at some point it will reach a new level of ridiculousness where people would say, "Oh, come on!" There's this suspension of disbelief, and then there is, just outright outrageousness.
Yeah. That's what most of the critics said after Fast 7 is like, hey, you can't get more ridiculous than Fast 7. And they were right. 100 million opening is still huge.
Right. But you can see that the domestic take, the foreign overseas take is 80%, 82% of the worldwide take. So it's huge overseas, but in domestically, relatively speaking, right? Again, one of these movies that is you can see plateauing here.
Yeah. And Fate of the Furious will probably end up topping out at like maybe 250 million, probably.
Maybe. It just depends on how well it holds up. If it's judging by previous movies, it'll continue to hold well. It won't experience like a 60% drop off from week to week, but it's gonna be decent. But it depends, right? What the competition is for the coming weeks, and some movies are coming along. But remember, what brought this franchise back? It's the focus on this group of people. Them saying that instead of friends or whatever, their family, that's kind of like the smaller tale, and and then they branch up into these bigger and bigger action set pieces, and you might see like, for example, with the you said spin-offs, they might focus on the smaller movies instead of these big action pieces. They're more about the people, but we don't know. It depends on how well how they handle this thing.
Yeah, right. But the franchise is still huge. um, and it's gotten so huge that they need to break it up into smaller pieces.
Right. So many people, look, they have Dwayne Johnson who can carry his own film.
Yeah.
If he want to break away and do his own spin-off, he could. Even Michelle Rodriguez, who proved that she can also carry her own film.
Kind of, really.
Well, smaller, right? But she could open
yeah.
movies. I mean, you wouldn't expect huge numbers, right? But she could open like, in the smaller movie range, right? If you budget accordingly, she could do it.
Yeah, not sure though, because after the initial couple Resident Evil movies, and she hasn't done much in between that and I guess the Fast and Furious franchise. So if she's done some, we haven't seen much of it or heard of it.
Well, here's the thing though. I watched her interview with Bear Grylls, the guy who took these celebrities out to the wild. Climbing walls or whatever, and surviving kind of like 2 days. And then she said that the pressure of carrying a film got to her, so she doesn't want to be the main star, so that's why she's shying away from the leading role, because she couldn't take the pressure. But maybe she's back, I don't know.
Yeah, she hasn't. She's been in movies as a supporting character. Yeah, like you said, maybe that. But yeah, we haven't seen her carry a film by herself in a while.
At least that's what she gave. She said that she couldn't take being the main reason a film failed.
We all know that Dwayne The Rock Johnson can carry his own film, but we know that Jason Statham's at in direct-to-video territory.
Sure.
But this
sure,
might,
I mean, right. We wouldn't expect like huge opening numbers, right? But if you budget accordingly, smaller movies, get back to what revived this franchise, then could work.
I mean, having spin-offs based on this might be interesting, might be able to bring it back. But of this group of people, seems like really only Dwayne The Rock Johnson can carry a film, because even Vin Diesel, outside of this Fast and Furious franchise, his numbers are pretty modest.
Domestically, international, overseas market. Hey.
Internationally, he's still decent, okay. I mean, Triple X did great because of China. Donnie Yen probably added a lot to that. But Witch Hunter, was it the
last
Witch Hunter? Yeah, the last Witch Hunter only did, so-so numbers.
Yeah, and even with Riddick, right? That Riddick movie.
Yeah.
Did only modestly.
Yeah, the budget was low, so they didn't lose money, but the numbers are pretty modest.
It's not the huge blockbuster 100 million opening that people would expect with someone like Vin Diesel leading the cast.
Yeah. I mean, they can do spin-offs off of this, and it might open decent. But outside of the Fast and Furious, it seems like the only one who can open a film to huge numbers is Dwayne Johnson.
Sure, but you wouldn't give someone like Michelle Rodriguez a 250 million budget, right? No, you give her maybe 25 to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Budget accordingly, and I don't expect huge numbers from these people, but to grow the brand, to grow these characters, and I think it could provide great returns, especially if you want to keep on milking the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, right. I mean, definitely anything related to this franchise, they can definitely go into. But outside this franchise, it seems like the only one who can legitimately open a movie is Dwayne The Rock Johnson to decent numbers.
Oh, right. If anyone could move the needle, right, it's Dwayne Johnson.
But we'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, because like if you compare it to the Marvel films, even someone like Chris Evans, Thor, what's his name?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, I mean Chris Hemsworth. Even him, outside of the Thor movies, his track record isn't that good. It's kind of pretty bad, actually.
Well, he only has that cable TV show, right? Sons of Anarchy.
No, that's Charlie Hunnam.
Oh, okay, all right. They all look alike. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Blonde guy. All right.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, I mean, he did a bunch of films in between, but outside of it, those films didn't open that well, or open at all. But, as long as he stays within that Marvel universe, those films do well. So I wonder if these guys, as long as they stay in that Fast and Furious universe, if these films would do well.
Yeah, I think they could. I think they could do well because it is a continuation of this, this whole universe that people are judging by the box office, right? That people are pretty fond of. So I think if they want to continue the story with all these different characters, spin-offs, whatever, I think they could do well. But the important thing is, like I say, budgeting accordingly. Michelle Rodriguez, don't give her a $250 million budget. It's not going to end well. No knock on her, okay? No knock on her. But there are people who are not as huge a draw as someone like Dwayne Johnson, who have mainstream appeal.
Yeah, but the thing is, when they're doing the Fast and Furious movies, they're gonna budget pretty high. Because if they're looking at a $25 million budget, they're like, might as well do something else.
Right. But what we're saying is, if they do spin-offs with these other characters, budget accordingly. Even though they have the name attached, budget accordingly.
Yeah, so I guess the first spin-off they're gonna do is the Jason Statham and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That could be interesting.
Yeah, they could. I mean, there's all this. I guess their government, at least Dwayne Johnson, is an FBI agent, right? And I guess Jason Statham is kind of his foil who is forced to team up together.
Yeah.
Against Charlize Theron of all people.
Right.
Anyway, the fate of the Furious, we will find out the fate of this franchise moving forward. We see, at least with just this movie, some plateauing going on, right?
Yeah.
We're not seeing these huge upward trajectory of the trend line with these fast movies, and we're seeing peak Fast and Furious right now. And I don't see it having a jump, right? These franchises can only make a certain level, and unless there's something huge happen, right? That kind of like Paul Walker's death causing this movie to jump even more. So I think we're seeing peak franchise here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move along to number 2, The Boss Baby. It pulled in $12.8 million over the weekend. The drop-off is actually pretty low, about 20%. Domestic gross is $137 million. Worldwide is $358 million. And, this is its 4th weekend already, and number 2 is not bad.
Yep, and it's holding. Actually, most of the films in the top 10 are holding up pretty well, except for the Fate of the Furious, which is kind of expected.
And I blame that on those new releases in theaters.
Yeah.
That's just me. But we'll get to those.
Right. Okay. At number 3, holding up nearly as well as the Boss Baby, is Beauty and the Beast. It did almost 10 million over the weekend, a drop off of only about 27%. After 6 weeks, it has already grossed 471 million domestically, and the worldwide figure is I think 1.1 billion, right? Yeah, 1.1 billion. So it's continues to chug along.
Yeah. I don't know. Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what Disney's thinking right now, right? Beauty and the Beast, this 1 billion moneymaker. I'm sure they're going to receive some pitches from these producers saying, hey, let's do some other movies based on this universe. Don't you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, of all the live action hits, the only one they made a sequel to was Alice in Wonderland, and that didn't turn out too well. It seems like Beauty and the Beast is one of these one-offs, and they already have enough universes and enough classics to adapt. So I don't think
there's never going to be enough universes.
Yeah, they already have the live action adaptation of animated classics universe. So they probably don't need another universe within a universe, sub-universes to milk.
Yeah, the smart thinking is to not kill the brand by doing a movie that shouldn't be done. We heard of sequels diminishing what came before it, the movie that came before it.
Yeah.
I guess if they do a sequel and it doesn't end up well, they could end up killing this golden goose.
Yeah, and and if you look at some of the, there's definitely some nostalgia thing going on. Like the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Michael Bay produced one, opened huge, but then no one cared for the sequel. And it seems like some of these are just one-offs, or like even Alice in Wonderland. They just want to see one.
Yeah, like you and me both, I guess we don't expect to see any sequels or spin-offs based on this this world.
Yeah.
So, but here's the interesting thing about this week. Like, if you look at box office for all these movies, right? The biggest one is obviously Fate of the Furious with about 39 million, right? But the rest of the figures are quite low.
Yeah.
So that means people generally just stay home this weekend. Last weekend.
Yeah, well, in general, everyone was staying clear of the Fate of the Furious. Nothing huge opened right before it, and nothing huge opened right after it. So they're giving it some breathing room before they open up other big movies like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Right. But it's going to end up being busy from now on.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. Okay, number 4 is one of the new releases last weekend, and of all the, I guess, widest new releases, I wouldn't expect Born in China to be the top one, but it is. It pulled in 5.1 million over the weekend, and Born in China is about a documentary. One of these Disney documentaries about pandas. They had one, I think, in 2015 or something like that. Monkey Kingdom, about monkeys, and this one's about pandas. And it did about just where I had it. These Disney documentary normally opens in the 5 to 10 million range. And this is one where I had it 5 million.
How were the reviews?
Generally, these documentaries are well reviewed, and this one I don't think is. Let's see, 81%.
Oh, not bad. Yeah. But just one of those films that's not a huge draw.
It's not a huge draw, and this is kind of like released in these indie theaters, right? And their audience is not really family or kids. They're targeted toward more of the older crowd.
All right, should we move on to number 5?
All right, go on.
All right, Going in Style did 5 million over the weekend, holding up pretty well. The drop-off is only about 20%, and after 3 weeks of release, it has already closed about 32 million at a budget of 25 million. So it's doing decent.
Like we said in the previous podcast, Going in Style is a comedy where Michael Caine, Alan Arkin, and Morgan Freeman can be in a movie together, have fun together. And as I said, they're getting up there in age, and who knows, this might be the final movie where they can be in together. I hope not, but
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the movie where they want to go out in style, but hey, this one's there for them, and not a major movie in any sense of the word, but hey, it's something that they could be in together, and it's doing okay.
Yeah. Reviews are only so-so, and I'm sure with all these Oscar caliber actors that critics and movie fans were expecting a better movie, but it's just one of these cash a paycheck and have fun type of film.
Right. It's just the pictures. Hey, come on, let's be in a movie together. You guys are going to be in a movie together, and it's going to be fun. And of course, the script is not there for them with all these people here. You expect the movie to be better, but it isn't. But hey, did okay business.
Yeah.
Budget's only 25 million. Domestic take is only about 31. And comedies don't travel well overseas, so the worldwide take is only 50 million. So All right, let's move along to number 6, Smurfs, The Lost Village. It pulled in about 4.9 million over the weekend, only about 28% drop off from the previous weekend. It's just not going well for this franchise. Domestic gross is only 33 million, and the worldwide take is a little bit better with 133 million.
Yeah. I think this is probably, it's the budget is only 60 million, but still, I don't think we're gonna see another one.
Well, it depends on how well it does overseas, but the Smurfs brand is really on the downside over here, right? I mean, it got rejuvenated with the live action / CGI with Neil Patrick Harris in the lead, and then the sequel didn't do well. They kind of redo it without the humans, I think, because it's cheaper to do, maybe, without paying real life people, and it's just not doing well here at all.
It's kind of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's something that people only want to see once.
Well, the thing with Turtles is like there's this huge nostalgia factor, right?
Yeah.
But the
similar
Smurfs,
with Smurfs too. I mean,
I guess so. But the concept of Ninja Turtles is more, I guess, appealing than Smurfs. They're blue little creatures.
Yeah. Well, Smurfs there was a huge. I think every little kid back then was watching it. So, and I'm sure parents brought them to see it. And it's one of those things where parents brought their kids to see it once, and that was it. They don't care to see anymore.
Right, and I thought the Smurfs, by going all CGI, they could kind of could do more with the story. But I guess it kind of looks like an extended TV show. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to number 7. Is the other new releases of the weekend called Unforgettable. Let's see. It stars Katherine Heigl, Rosario Dawson, and it's directed by Denise Denovi. The one of the producers who did a lot of things, and she decides to make her directorial debut with this one. And I said it could probably open to about the 10 million range. And I said that this movie, the concept of a crazy ex coming in to ruin the lives of either the husband or the wife with their new partner, it kind of got better people than it deserved. This movie deserved. It's thriller, and I guess Denise Denovi, being the power producer that she is, called in a few favors.
They made it for relatively cheap amount of money, like 12 million. And they're not going to lose much money, but yeah, it didn't make much of an impression.
All right, they pulled in only 4.8 million over the weekend.
And reviews were pretty bad, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're this power producer, who did all this movie, would you choose to make your debut with this?
I don't know, she saw something in it.
I mean, you can call in all these favors. You can call in, these actors saying, hey, want to be in my movie? I'll owe you one, right? But she did it with Unforgettable, which is quite ironically, right? Quite forgettable, the movie.
Yeah. Hey, but sometimes, just because you're a producer doesn't mean you're a good director.
No, but you should have an eye for to know what's good, right? Well,
I mean, if you look at the films that she's produced, most of them are not very well reviewed. Early on, they were pretty well reviewed. In the early 90s, they seemed to be well reviewed. But after that, most of her films, she's produced a bunch of films, but not many of them are well reviewed.
Well, but still, right? She should know better.
I don't know. Looking at her filmography, it seems like, sure, it's one of the lower review ones, but if you look at her filmography, there are way more splash than there are, fresh films. So it seems like it's just kind of like her cup of tea.
Yeah, Catwoman, Ed Wood.
It seems like it's kind of, in terms of the quality, it seems like it fits in with her resume.
Kind of bad B movie level.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Her taste runs that way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 8. Gifted is one of these limited releases that gain additional theaters. It popped up in the top 10. It pulled in 4.5 million over the weekend. It's already in its 3rd weekend of release, and the cumulative gross right now domestically is 10.7 million. This movie stars Chris Evans, Octavia Spencer, and it's directed by Mark Webb, the guy who did the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
So, it's one of these dramas. Custody battle, there's a child involved, and these movies are out there for actors to act instead of, Chris Evans is Captain America. So, it's a change for him to act in these small movies, to expand his range or, to exercise his acting muscle.
Right.
Instead of his bod, right?
Yeah, right.
To be Captain America.
Right. The reviews were decent, 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, so as an indie film, is kind of catching on. Although it's not going to be huge numbers. It just seems like one of those films that could get up to 20 million and is relatively cheap to make. It's probably one of these films that they want to do in between the superhero films.
Right. These smaller movies, like I said, as a change of pace for these big action movies.
Right.
Okay. All right. Number 9. Moving along is The Promise. This movie stars Christian Bale, Oscar Isaac, I think Charlotte LeBon. It takes place, I guess, during the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Isaac plays a medical student. He's studying to become a doctor. War breaks out and he's trying to get out of the country. Right? Bale plays an AP reporter. And there's this love triangle. It only pulled in about 4.6 million. I thought it could do by name alone about 5 to 7 million, so it kind of within my range, but a bit lower.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the film's budgeted at 90 million.
Because it has all these set pieces, all these costumes, explosions, and I said, this movie is kind of like that Brad Pitt movie, Allied, with Marion Cotillard. And if his movie could only open at 12 million, I don't think this movie had a chance.
Right. And Christian Bale, outside of Batman, hasn't opened many films since then.
Well, before Batman, he is known as an indie actor. Right?
Yeah.
An indie actor.
Right. I'm surprised they put in such a huge budget.
Yeah, I guess it's by outside financing, maybe.
Yeah.
Overseas financing.
Yeah, they're like, hey, he's Batman. He used to be Batman.
Yep. Hey, your resume, what you did before can give you some money, but it doesn't guarantee huge opening numbers.
Right.
All right, let's go move on to number 10 is The Lost City of Z. It got an additional 600 more theaters. It pulled in about 2.1 million over the weekend. Domestic gross right now is about 2.3 million, so it expanded. Let's see, what's The Lost City of Z? I kind of heard about this movie, but I don't know much about it. And hey, it stars our old friend Charlie Hunnam. Speaking of him, the guy who did who's in Son of Anarchy.
Yeah, and Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson,
The Twilight
Miller.
guy.
Yeah.
It has some names. Directed by James Gray, who did We Own the Night, Two Lovers, The Immigrant. So some well-regarded movies.
And it's pretty well reviewed. Very well reviewed. 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
All right. So anyway, it popped up in the top 10.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it's gonna continue to get additional theaters as this movie expands, or it's just gonna get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, the summer movies are opening, or they have already opened. It's just people just wanted to stay a couple weeks away from Fate of the Furious.
Yep, exactly. All right. And moving on, a movie of note is the other wide release. I guess the last one is no, it's not the last one, but it's one of them. It's Phoenix Forgotten. It came in number 11 with 2 million opening. You could say it's the Blair Witch of UFO movies.
Ah, okay.
Found footage about aliens, and that's all I want to say about it. I said these movies couldn't work that well in this day and age. I thought back when the Blair Witch was, at the same time, I guess it could do better, right? But now the cat's out of the bag. You couldn't really fool people saying, hey, this is real. These events are real. I mean, you can use it as a technique, right? Right now, it's in, you can see it in all the other movies. And I said it could probably open in the 1 million range because, of what it is. But it did a little bit better than what I expected to do, 2 million.
Yeah, and the budget is pretty low, so.
Hey, it's found footage. It's supposed to be low.
Right.
If you're paying a lot for a found footage movie, you should get your money back. Get a refund.
Well, it depends. There have been some higher budget ones, like Chronicle. What's that? J.J. Abrams one.
Cloverfield.
Yeah, Cloverfield. Right. Yeah.
But with the bigger budget movies, they need some some special effects. Because for monster. So
I found Cloverfield more annoying using that technique. Well, in general, I find the technique pretty annoying, but it worked for Chronicle. I thought Chronicle is, in terms of that found footage genre and using that technique, I feel like that's been the most successful. The other ones I just found really annoying, and it's just something that I feel like is kind of forced, and they probably would, like even Cloverfield, I feel like it's one of those films where they would do better just making it as a normal monster movie.
Right, well, like I say, it's hard to pull this off where you try to trying to fool audience saying, hey, this is real. These guys are just filming themselves, right? Running away from a monster. I mean, who would do that, really, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's a tool, right? But it depends on how you use it, and to use something in the vein of similar to like Blair Witch, I don't see it doing well.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe people will find an interesting way to resurrect it, like the whole Paranormal Activity people. Well, Jason Blum.
Yeah, there's always going to be film students, Sam. There's always going to be film students who thought, hey, this technique is the best ever, and they're going to use it, and they're the one that's going to, make something out of it.
Well, yeah, you just have to find a new original way to use it.
Right.
Rather than just use it for the sake of just technique for sake of technique.
Yeah, right. They could just shake the camera, and make it look interesting.
Right.
Moving along. All right, another movie of note. Number 17, Free Fire. released by A24. It's kind of like Reservoir Dogs. These people, bad guys, ended up in a warehouse in a standoff with each other, shooting at each other. It's directed by Ben Wheatley. Stars Armie Hammer, Brie Larson, Cillian Murphy, a couple others. It's supposed to be funny. I watched the trailer and it's not funny to me, and it looks like a mess. And it did way worse than what I expect this movie to do. From the people who released it, I thought it could probably pull in 7 to 8 million, open to that much, but it did way worse, pulled in about 1 million over the weekend.
How were the reviews? Probably pretty bad, right?
66%.
Oh, actually not bad.
But it's largely ignored. I guess like other people like me saw the trailer and just didn't think this was funny.
Right.
And these people, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, Cillian Murphy, these are not people who draw in crowds.
Yeah.
And especially for a throwback movie like this.
Although we're not sure what they would after though. They could just be after a good indie film.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure someone that the pitch is this is kind of like something like Reservoir Dogs. Haha. Witty dialogues, big witty lines to each other. People are gonna get shot, but they just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah. Well, it seems like in terms of quality, they did okay, but no one cared.
No, yeah. Okay, so those are the movies of note for last weekend. And another thing, Ghost in the Shell. Gotta say, it's a certified bomb right now.
Okay.
Only 39 million domestic. It's dropping out of theaters location. It's experiencing another 60+% drop off domestically. And worldwide, it's only doing 162 million.
Yeah. What's the budget?
110.
Oh, okay, yeah. So official bomb.
All right. So that's it for the box office. How about we move on to the new releases? Okay, we have 3. We have The Circle, How to Be a Latin Lover, and Sleight, as in sleight of hand. Sleight.
Right.
Okay, how about we start off with The Circle?
Yeah, a bunch of big names. Well, decently big names.
Emma Watson, who is in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, he plays this, I guess the bad guy in the movie, the CEO of a company who tracks people.
Yeah, and there's also John Boyega from Star Wars. So, all these people from really super huge billion-dollar films.
Right, but kind of like Karen Gillian, she is, I guess, in Guardians of the Galaxy. Bill Paxton.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Titanic and others.
Oh, okay. Oh, this.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I saw the trailer and it's based on a best-selling book, but it didn't seem that interesting to me.
It's a movie about when tech going bad. It is a thriller, right?
Thriller.
Tom Hanks is the CEO of this company who has an app that tracks people. And their life, how to optimize their lives, and as you would expect from these movies, the hints
it always goes bad.
Control people, who's always observing people. They know what you're feeling, right? Because they're monitoring your vital signs.
Yeah, it's one of these movies about big data and
right, Big Brother, right?
Yeah, Big Brother, Big Data. Yeah, Big Brother. Except the whole thing is big data. Using. How the internet has all this data, Facebook and Google and Twitter, and they have all this data on us, and they're crunching these data to give us ads and things that we, tailor made for us. And I guess I guess with this is they take it a step further, where it's not just ads anymore. It's taking data from our entire life and using this data to optimize our life and eventually going crazy, pretty much.
Right. Well, in a sense, it's controlling you, right? You should think a certain way, should act a certain way, and they're using all these things to say, hey, if you deviate from that, what you think you should be doing, you're bad for the system.
Yeah.
And you will be removed or re-educated or what have you, right? So that is The Circle.
Right. It didn't seem that interesting to me though. The trailer.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit confusing too, because I could see your average person's like big data doesn't sound too interesting.
It's not too interesting. What I'm seeing is like people saying, "What's the big deal?"
Yeah, and it's and they released this not right after, but
Right before.
yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know. I think, but there's Emma Watson and there's Tom Hanks. So I don't know. 8 million.
8 million. Here's the thing. Like I overestimated how small the movies were last weekend.
Yeah.
I thought it could do better than what, but I think just people just don't care, and nothing is bringing them out. But for Fast and the Furious, I guess like you will see some counter programming that could do better. But I guess last week's new releases just got pretty much ignored.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people who want to watch it went to watch it, but they didn't really bring out, the people that's outside of that target audience. So I kind of feel the same way about this week's movie as well. I guess your 8 million is because Tom Hanks and Emma Watson, right?
Yeah, I was thinking 10. Hey, Tom Hanks and Emma Watson's gonna at least draw enough people to make it a 10. But I'm like, it doesn't seem that interesting.
Right, and Tom Hanks is also playing against his usual good guy type.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of feel the same way as you, but I'm gonna go lower as well. 5 million.
Whoa, you're gonna go? Wow, that's.
I'm gonna go low because for last week I overestimate, so I'm gonna pull back my expectation a bit.
All right.
Like even though Tom Hanks is in it, Emma Watson's in it, I don't know. Maybe this movie could appeal to the teenage crowd, right? I don't know, the social media group.
Well, you're saying 5 million, so obviously it doesn't appeal to anyone.
That's what I'm saying. I could be wrong. It could appeal
to
the groups that I'm not.
You're not seeing.
Might not appeal to.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, one of those demographics that that always surprises us.
Right. Because hey, Emma Watson is here. She has her fans.
Yeah. All right. So we're both low on it. You're 5 million. I'm 8 million.
Right.
Which film should we move on to next?
Let's go with How to Be a Latin Lover. Opening in 1,000 theaters or so.
2 million. 1 million. How 1 million?
Oh, come on. Let's set this up a bit, okay?
Okay.
Don't jump the gun. Okay, we have Rob Lowe, Raquel Welch, Kristen Bell, and Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
Rob Corddry. So a lot of good actors, but obviously you're not high on this movie.
No.
And why?
It didn't seem funny to me. I don't know why these people are attaching themselves to it. Oh, Michael Cera's in it too, so it didn't seem that funny or interesting to me, and I don't see how this can draw a crowd.
Well, this movie is really target toward the older group, right? Well, this is not a romantic comedy target toward the.
What do you mean, older group? As in what?
Older group, as in the Raquel Welch generation, as in the Selma Hayek generation. Those.
You mean like 30s, 40s, 50s?
Yep, I guess 30s and above.
Not that old. Yeah, that doesn't seem that appealing to any demographic.
Yeah, I guess Rob Lowe plays this guy who's makes a living off the largesse of the old rich woman.
The main guy is Eugenio Derbez.
Oh, Eugenio Derbez. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he plays the guy who's living off money from rich old woman, right?
Yeah.
And he got thrown out, and he has to kind of start over and find another old woman to live off of. And Selma Hayek plays his sister.
Right.
There is some laughs to be had, but do you want to make an effort to go out and watch this in theaters?
Right. Probably not.
You say no. 2 million, right?
No, I said 1 million. I'm giving it
1 million.
1 million.
Okay, that's I'm gonna go with you there. 1 million.
All right.
Okay. All right. 1 million. Because as you said, you don't. Well, like demographic, this movie's target toward it probably won't rush out during open weekends.
Yeah, I feel like this is like Rob Snyder territory. With his American Gigolo movies.
Right.
Except not even as funny.
Yeah. Like I said, movie is target toward the older crowd, right? Rich old woman and a younger
No, I don't think so.
Lover.
Which old woman won't be watching this? I think the target audience for this is the typical, 18 to 30 something audience.
They couldn't relate. They couldn't relate to this movie. Like that, the main guy is old, except there's this kid as well.
Yeah,
who he's trying.
I think they're trying to appeal to a general audience, and I don't find it appealing at all.
All right,
I don't find much of it funny.
How about we'll leave it at that because we're spending way too much time on a 1 million movie.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Sleight.
Speaking of Chronicles, right? It is a sort of a superhero movie, right? This guy, African American, made by Blumhouse Production. He has powers. He passes that off as magic tricks at first, right? But hey, he really has these powers.
Right.
And he's involved with gangs, drug dealers, and when the drug dealers target him and the people who he cares about, then he uses his power to fight back.
Yeah, he started honing his magic powers to fight back. I thought it was kind of interesting. It was kind of surprising because in the trailer, yes, by the end of it, you're like, oh, this is kind of like Chronicles, except it's kind of focused on just one character, one guy. And the cast is mostly a African American cast, and of the bunch, this seems like the most interesting film. And the reviews, even though there are only 9 so far, it's not bad, 67%. And the African American audience is always dependable. I'm going 7 million.
7 million. See, the thing is, like, it says nationwide, but I really don't know how wide it is.
It could be 500 theaters, could be 800,
it could be less than it could be less than 1,000 theaters. Because this movie is released by Blumhouse.
Yeah.
And I don't think this movie will get that big of a distribution, right? It doesn't stars any well-known people.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell, pretty much. You couldn't really say this movie stars, this is this, or by this is, except it's by Blumhouse, who made all these horror movies.
Yeah. This does feel like Chronicle light.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is how well known, how well marketed this movie is, right? Can they get the word of mouth out?
Right.
We say 7 million. Yeah, I'm gonna go a bit lower, 3 million.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know how wide this movie is, And again, like I said, you see something in it, but other people might not.
Right. Yeah. It does seem Chronicle light though. But I feel like the trailer was kind of interesting, mixing magic in the beginning and this drug deal and
Right. Blumhouse, right? Horror movies, but now they're moving with Sleight. They're moving into superhero movies.
As long as they can make it for cheap, that's their whole motto. Making these films with modest budgets, letting the idea, the concept, the story, and what have you carry it.
Right. All right. So I think this week, it's gonna be pretty slow. Because I guess they're avoiding these movies as with last weekend movies, or sandwich between 2 huge movies with Fate of the Furious and the upcoming one, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Right.
So I don't expect anything from these movies, and I shouldn't expect anything from these movies.
Right. All right, so we'll see you guys next week to see how if any of these movies will surprise us.
All right, the movie is like The Circle, right? The one, well, not the one with the biggest surprise factor. Sleight could also surprise us as well.
Right.
All right, but it's between The Circle and Sleight.
Right, and who knows? Maybe there's still enough Rob Snyder fans who's missing Rob Snyder, and they might go out and watch How to Be a Land Lover.
Maybe.
Or they can go on Netflix and watch those Adam Sandler movies.
Right. That's true. Okay. All right.
All right.
Tune in next week.